Have you ever told someone you were busy when you were actually just sitting at home in your pajamas with absolutely no plans to move? You didn't have a good reason. The person asking you to hang out was nice. You probably would have had a good time, but when the text came in, your fingers just typed out, "So sorry, I can't, I have plans," and you hit send. Why did you do that? Telling the truth would have been just as easy. "Hey, I'm not feeling very social tonight. Maybe another time." That works. But still, you chose the lie. The little, unnecessary lie. This is something we all do, and it's one of the strangest, most common parts of being human. We lie, and not just big, life-altering lies, but small, seemingly pointless ones. Lies that don't seem to get us anything important. So why do we do it? Why do people lie, even when they don't really need to? The answer isn't simple. It's not just because we're trying to be deceptive or malicious. The real reasons are much deeper, and they have everything to do with our fears, our desires, and our fundamental need to connect with the people around us. It's a fascinating journey into our own minds. So today, let's pull back the curtain on this strange habit. Let's talk about the psychology behind lying, to really understand why we lie when we don't need to. We first have to understand the lies we feel we do need to tell. These fall into a couple of big categories, and the first one is probably the most common type of lie in the entire world, the white lie. You know these well. Your friend gets a new haircut, and it's not great. They ask you what you think. What do you say? You say, "It looks amazing. It really suits you." Or your partner cooks dinner, and they tried a new recipe, but it tastes incredibly bland. They look at you with hopeful eyes and ask, "So, how is it?" You smile and say, "This is delicious, honey." These are white lies. We don't tell them to hurt anyone. In fact, we tell them for the exact opposite reason. We tell them to protect someone else's feelings. We tell them to keep the peace, to make social situations run smoothly. Think about it. If we all went around saying the blunt, unvarnished truth all day, society would be a mess. "No, I don't want to see pictures of your baby. That story you just told was really boring. Honestly, I kind of forgot who you were." It would be brutal, so we use white lies as a kind of social glue. They are a sign of empathy. You are reading the other person's emotional state. You see their hope or their excitement, and you make a calculated decision that their feelings are more important in that moment than the absolute, objective truth. The lie isn't about the bad haircut. It's about preserving your friend's confidence. The lie isn't about the bland food. It's about showing appreciation for your partner's effort. So, in a way, these aren't even seen as bad lies by our brains. They're filed under the category of being nice or being polite. They are a fundamental tool we use to navigate our complex social world. They are lies that are not about deception, but about connection and kindness. But then there's the next level. The lies we tell not to protect others, but to protect ourselves. This is the second major category of lying. Lying out of fear. This is one of the most basic, instinctual reasons to lie. It's about self-preservation. Think back to when you were a little kid. You're running through the house. You knock over a lamp, and it shatters. Your mum comes running in and asks, "What happened?" What comes out of your mouth? For many of us, it was, "I don't know." Or maybe even, "The dog did it." You weren't a bad kid. You were just a scared kid. You were afraid of getting in trouble. You saw a direct path to a negative consequence: getting yelled at, losing dessert. being sent to your room and your brain, in a split second, offered you an alternative path. The lie. The lie was a shield. This instinct doesn't go away when we grow up. It just gets a little more sophisticated. You're late for work because you overslept. When your boss asks why you were late, you say, "The traffic was absolutely terrible." You missed a project deadline. You tell your team, "Sorry for the delay, I was waiting on some key information from another department." In both cases, the lie feels easier than the truth. The truth: I have poor time management, or I procrastinated invites. Judgment: it makes you look bad. It could have real consequences for your reputation or even your job. The lie, on the other hand, shifts the blame. It points to external forces beyond your control. The traffic, the other department. It protects your image as a competent, responsible person. It's a defense mechanism. These lies are born from fear. Fear of punishment, fear of shame, fear of being seen as less than what we want to be. It's our brain trying to keep us safe from social danger, so we have lies to protect others and lies to protect ourselves. Those make a certain kind of sense, but now we arrive at the heart of the mystery. Why do we lie when there are no feelings to protect, and when there's no real threat to avoid? Why do we tell lies that seem to have no point at all? This is where the psychology gets really interesting. Imagine you're at a party, talking to someone you've just met. You'll probably never see them again. You're telling them about your job, and you find yourself exaggerating. You embellish your title. You inflate your responsibilities. You make your day-to-day work sound way more exciting than it actually is. Why? There are no stakes here. This stranger's opinion of you has no real-world impact. So why the fib? The first major reason is that we lie to build a better version of ourselves. Deep down, we all have a story we tell ourselves about who we are, our identity. And we also have a story about who we want to be, the ideal version of ourselves. The cooler, smarter, more successful, more adventurous version. And sometimes there's a gap between the reality of who we are and the fantasy of who we want to be. Lying, in a strange way, is an attempt to close that gap. When you tell that stranger at the party that you're a senior project manager instead of a project assistant, you're not just lying to them. You are, for a fleeting moment, trying on that identity for yourself. You're painting a picture of the person you wish you were, and in the telling, you get to feel what it's like to be that person. It's about self-esteem. If we feel insecure about our lives, our accomplishments, or our personalities, a lie can be a quick and easy way to get a little boost. Think about the friend who always has an amazing story to tell. They didn't just go to the beach for the weekend. They went on a secret surfing trip and swam with dolphins. They didn't just have a quiet night, they were on a 3-hour video call with a fascinating friend who lives in Japan. Often, these stories are sprinkled with exaggerations, or are sometimes completely made up. It's not because they think you won't be their friend if they just tell you they watched movies all weekend. It's because the story they tell the world is the story they want their life to be. They are curating their reality, much like we curate our social media feeds. They are building a more exciting narrative for themselves and for others. The lie isn't for the listener, it's for the teller. It's a way of saying, I am interesting, I am important, I am not ordinary. It's a shield against the fear of being plain. The second big reason for these unnecessary lies is just as powerful. We lie to connect with other people. One of the most fundamental human drives is the need to belong. We are social creatures. We want to be part of the tribe. Rejection is one of our deepest fears, and sometimes we believe that the real us isn't good enough to be accepted. So we lie to create a version of ourselves that we think will be more palatable, more relatable to the people we want to connect with. Have you ever been in a group where everyone is talking enthusiastically about a TV show you've never seen, or a band you can't stand? What do? Many of us will just nod along. Maybe even chime in with a vague, "Oh yeah, that's a great show. You're lying." It's a small lie, but it's a lie. Why do it? Because in that moment, disagreeing feels risky. It feels like creating a distance between you and the group. Saying "I've never seen it" might be fine, but it could also lead to you being left out of the rest of the conversation. Saying "I actually hate that band" is even riskier. So you lie. The lie is a bridge. It's a quick and easy way to say, "I'm one of you. We have something in common. Please accept me." This happens all the time. Pretending to share a hobby, an opinion, or an experience is a shortcut to building rapport. We want to be agreeable. We want to fit in. The lie isn't about the TV show or the band. It's about avoiding the potential social pain of being different, of being the outsider. It's driven by a fear of rejection and a deep-seated need for acceptance. We are so afraid that our true, authentic self might not be what people are looking for, so we present a slightly modified version, an edited version, that we think will be more successful in the social marketplace. Now, there's a third reason, and it's a bit darker and more complex. Sometimes, people lie for the thrill of it. They lie because it gives them a sense of power and control. Think about it. When you tell a lie and someone believes you, you've created a reality for them. You know the truth, and they don't. That gap in knowledge can feel powerful. You are pulling the strings. You are the director of the movie that they are watching. For people who feel powerless in other areas of their lives, this can be an intoxicating feeling. They may not have control over their job, their finances, or their relationships, but they can control the narrative. They can invent secrets, start rumors, or create elaborate stories, all just to see if they can get away with it. It's a way of testing their influence on the world. The lie is a game, and the prize is the feeling of being in control. This is often where harmless exaggerations can start to bleed into more manipulative behavior. It's less about insecurity and more about a desire to orchestrate the world around them. The lie is a tool to make them feel less like a pawn and more like a player in the game of life. Now, for most people, these lies are occasional. They are situational. But what happens when it's not occasional? What happens when lying becomes the default setting? This is where we get into the territory of compulsive lying. A compulsive liar isn't necessarily the same as a pathological liar, who often lies for clear personal gain and with manipulative intent. A compulsive liar lies out of habit. It's a reflex. For a compulsive liar, the lie comes out before they've even had a chance to think about it. You ask them what they had for breakfast, and they might say oatmeal and blueberries, even if they had toast. There was no reason to lie. The truth was fine. But the lie is just what happens. Think of it like a nervous habit, like biting your nails or tapping your foot. You often do it without conscious thought. Compulsive lying is like that. It's a deeply ingrained behavioral pattern. This habit often has roots in a person's past. If someone grew up in a very strict or chaotic environment where lying was necessary for survival, to avoid punishment, to navigate unpredictable moods, or to get their basic needs met, their brain can learn a very simple, very powerful equation. Lying equals safety. Over time, that pathway in the brain gets stronger and stronger until it becomes the main road. The brain no longer stops to ask, do I need to lie right now? It just automatically takes the path it knows best. The lie becomes the first resort, the automatic response to almost any question. It's often not malicious. In fact, people who lie compulsively often feel trapped by it. They feel shame and guilt, but they struggle to stop because it's a habit that is running on autopilot. It's a coping mechanism that has long outlived its original purpose. It's interesting to think about what's actually happening in our brains when we choose to lie versus when we choose to tell the truth. And it turns out, telling the truth is the brain's default setting. It's easy when someone asks you what you did yesterday and you decide to tell the truth. Your brain just has to do one thing: access a memory. It retrieves the information and you speak it. It's a simple recall process. But when you decide to lie, your brain has to do a lot more work first. It has to suppress the truth. It has to actively stop itself from saying what actually happened. Second, it has to invent the lie. It has to create a new, plausible story from scratch. This requires creativity and logic. Third, and this is the hardest part, it has to remember the lie. It has to store this new, false information and keep it separate from the true memory. And it has to remember who it told the lie to. This is called cognitive load. Lying puts a much higher strain on your brain's resources than telling the truth. It's mentally exhausting. This is why people who are lying often give themselves away. They might pause for too long while their brain is inventing the details. Their story might not make logical sense because their brain is struggling to keep everything straight. They might avoid eye contact, not because of guilt, but because they are concentrating so hard on the lie that they have to shut out other distractions. And it's why, over time, a web of lies is so difficult to maintain. Your brain simply can't keep track of all the different stories told to different people. The truth is always there, consistent and easy. Lies are fragile and require constant maintenance. Eventually, something is bound to slip. So, when we look at the whole picture, we see that lying is a profoundly human act. It's rarely as simple as just good versus bad. We tell white lies out of empathy and a desire for social harmony. We lie out of a primal fear of getting in trouble or being shamed. And when we lie for no apparent reason, it's almost always for a very deep reason. We lie to try and build a better, more impressive version of ourselves, to combat our insecurities. We lie to find common ground and connect with others, driven by our fear of rejection. And sometimes, we lie to feel a sense of control in a world where we feel powerless. Lying is a mirror. It reflects our deepest needs, our most pressing fears, and our most cherished desires. It shows us the gap between the person we are and the person we wish we could be. It's not necessarily something to be proud of, but it is something to be understood. Because understanding why we lie is a big step toward understanding ourselves. So, the next time you catch yourself telling one of those little, unnecessary lies, take a second. Don't just judge yourself. Ask yourself a simple question. What was that really about? What fear was I trying to soothe? What need was I trying to meet? The answer might just tell you something important about who you are.